Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Hello friends, this is Vijay. Welcome to ForumIAS Hindu Daily. In our today's news analysis, we are going to see the list of topics in the display. The first one, a chance for India to shape a data governance regime. It came in the editorial part. Then the second one, understanding Saudi Arabia-Iran detention. So it came in the discussion part. Then the third one, India remains world's largest importer of arms. The CIPRI report, it came. So that's what the article came in today's newspaper. Then the fourth one, 246 vultures spotted in synchronized survey in Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka. Then the last one, NGT appointed committee holds Kochi Corporation responsible for fire incidents. Recently in newspaper, in multiple times we have seen the Kochi dumpyard fire accidents. So regarding that, the NGT appointed one committee. So they came up with certain reports. So let us discuss about it. Here is the article for you, the first one. And this is the second article related to Saudi-Iran detention. Then the third one is about CIPRI report. And the fourth one, it is related to vulture survey. Then the last one, NGT appointed committee. It came up with certain standings, right? So these are all the things we are going to discuss today. Here is the first article for you. Kindly go through it. And why in news? In these times, as you all well known, that India have been embracing digitization and technology to reap the benefits out of Industrial Revolution 4.0, right? So that's what the article, it came in today's newspaper. And the government of India, they are actually actively engaging with data empowerment and protection architecture. So here in the article, they had discussed about the related concerns with respect to DEPA. So firstly, let us take some examples. Example like a mobile subscription or data subscription, you might have known, right? So whenever we are purchasing a mobile subscription or data subscription, like a SIM, then a new data connection and all, we will be providing certain proof of address. And it may like other details like that and all, right? Here, we will be issuing our consent to UIDAI to allow our data to the sellers. To manage this consent, we devised a consent management tool, DEPA. So here DEPA, it provides a greater control to the data holder like individuals. It will also upholding the data privacy and data protection. So these are all the things that DEPA have been doing. Here in the image, it is very clearly visible. The request for data is raised from the seller end, and the user, they will be issuing the consent. Then the consent will be shared with the consent manager, and then the consent manager, they will request the data from UIDAI, then banks, mutual funds, like that. Okay, so this is how the system have been functioning. And here there are multiple issues are there. The firstly, it is related to the security. So with respect to the security, if the consent management tool is not properly managed or implemented means, then there will be a risk that the personal information can be misused or misappropriated. So the financial frauds and all will be happen in this way. So the security protocols need to be strengthened here. Here, if the tools are malfunctioning means without the user consent, the data can be retrieved by the seller end from the UIDAI. So it will be a serious issue. Then the implementation of DEPA may require different sectors to form a cohesive unit to manage the cross-sectoral jurisdictions. So absence of which would undermine the effectiveness and cooperation among the system. So it will take a toll on the citizen trust. Okay, what the trust the citizens are keeping on the system. So there it will take a toll. And the solutions for these issues are, the entire process should be implemented in a transparent, consistent and secured manner, which will require close collaboration of government, private, then civil society, then other NGOs or other small entities who have been operating in the ground. So this is how we can resolve the issues. Then India in the past, they achieved several victories, especially the commendable victories like UPI and all, because even the Bill Gates, he appreciated the victory what India had achieved in the UPI. But these victories, they need to replicate successfully in other sectors such as health and agriculture. So this is the solution number 2. Then the next solution is several other issues are there, right, with respect to the ownership of data. Because with that data, we analyze about the behavioral patterns, especially of the country citizens, right? So how they are spending the money, how the variants of diseases are affecting the people. By taking data from health centers and hospitals and all, we can find. So therefore, we need to draw the rights of the providers and what are the responsibilities we owe towards them. These issues and all need to be sorted out. So this is how the solutions had been given. Here, the state needs to play a proactive role to resolve these issues, to build a strong, secure, safe, reliable data protection regime. Okay, so this is how the article have been discussing. Then in the subtitle, the issue of data sovereignty. Data sovereignty means it refers to the principle that a country has a right to control the collection, storage, and use of data within its borders. So this is the meaning for data sovereignty. And here we should discuss about the servers. Like you might have been using the ATM cards, right? For every year, the banks will be levying the charges for the usage of ATM card. Why they need to receive? Because you are using your own card and there is no need for taking any amount from you, because actually you are providing the deposits to the bank, and with the deposits banks are doing the business. Then why they are levying the charges on you? Here you might have come across the companies or entities name like Visa, MasterCard and all, right? So there if you are doing any other bank transaction means these entities, they will be providing or they will be fetching the data of you to the concerned banks. Okay, so in this way they will be functioning and the data related to your transactions and all will be stored in offshore destinations like Europe or in US. There your informations and all will be stored. So actually they are providing some server service to your data, right? So that's how they will be charging certain fare from bank end. And meanwhile the banks, they will start the they will impose the fees upon your transactions. So this is how they have been asking the amount from your account for the ATM transactions and all. So here the servers what we are storing in offshore destinations can be used it for other purposes because we don't have any control over them. So that's what in this article they have been discussing about the data sovereignty. Here what they have been stating is we need to coordinate and we need to oversee the digital strategies and data governance because the data are very important, right? So that's what the article have been insisting upon, the data sovereignty. And it has been suggested for opening of data silos. So here the data silos means containers. Okay, so for each and every ministries we will be gathering data based upon their functions. Here what they are stating is it can be clubbed together to generate the big data which will provide massive insights into the pattern of citizen behavior. But these roles, it should be played by government because private participation, it will break the citizens' trust. The profit motive of the private entities will jeopardize the determined objectives. Okay. And apart from that, here with respect to the data sovereignty, recently India established the IDMO, India Data Management Office. So they will oversee and they will coordinate the functions related to the data sovereignty, which is a very bold and formidable steps. And in the conclusion, they had discussed that India here need to take a middle path. What is the middle path? Because here we need to take a stand between data sovereignty and limitless data flow. Because if we are imposing multiple restrictions on data sovereignty means private companies, they won't come forward to make a digital investments. So that's what the authors have been asking, that India need to take a middle path by taking the considerations of limitless data flow. Even the limitless data flow also, it will affect our interest. So that's what we need to critically apply our mind to devise the mechanisms which should not compromise both the data sovereignty and the data flow. Okay, so that's it, friends. Now let us dive into the next article. This is the second article, understanding the Saudi-Iran detente. Kindly go through this article. Why in news? Saudi Arabia and Iran, two of the West Asia's major powers, they have been at odds with each other for decades. They agreed to restore diplomatic relations last week in agreement brokered by China. Here, China is a keyword you should know. And when we talk about Saudi Arabia and Iran, these two countries, they hadn't shared a friendly relationship in their past. US factor is the main reason behind this issue. Saudi Arabia was operated as a extended territorial ally of United States to enforce its interest. Let us go back to the historical timeline, which are highly significant from exam point of view. In the year of 1979, Iranian revolution happened. Okay, so now we are not going to discuss about anything about the revolution. Let us discuss everything brief in detail in the upcoming analysis. You should know what is the outcome of the Iranian revolution. Through this revolution in Iran, theocratic republic state came into existence. It resulted in the ideological differences between Iran and Saudi consequently. Here, in Iran and Afghanistan regions and Iraq regions, Shia people have been dominating, but in the Gulf Peninsula, Sunni people have been they are prevailing compared to the Shia. Okay, so there is always a rift between Shia and Sunni since the Iranian revolutions, and you all might have known the differences exist between Sunni and Shia groups, right? So therefore, these all differences it boomeranged only after this revolution. So here the developed states like US, they potentially capitalize these situations and they add more and more fuel into the burning fire for their own self-interest. And obviously the region, it got destabilized. So these both countries, they started to race towards the brand tag of the regional player. Who? The Iran and Saudi Arabia. So because both of their economies, they are based on oil output and prices. They both started to build up their regional clout with their allies. These developments, it led to the suspension of diplomatic relationship between both the countries in the year of 2016. So in 2016, both Saudi Arabia and Iran, they withdraw their diplomatic relationship. And here the China started brokering between the countries. Finer details of the agreement it had to be unveiled. With respect to these developments, Iran stated that it won't do any attacks against Saudi. Here, we should know one thing. In Yemen also, the Iran supported Houthis are there. Okay, so here is the Yemen. The Houthis territories and all will be here. So usually from here, they will be launching a rocket towards Riyadh and Jeddah. Okay, so in these regions, the Houthis used to launch a rocket with the support from Iran. So what Iran is claiming is that from now onwards, the Yemen Houthis are also, they won't involve in any aggressive operations against the Saudi Arabia. So these are all the developments we have been witnessing because of the Chinese brokerages in the issue between Iran and Saudi Arabia. The role played by China is not stopping here. China is also planning to organize the Cross-Gulf Conference of Iran and 6 Gulf monarchies. This Gulf Cooperation Council members, you might have known, Saudi Arabia, UAE, wait, let me write, Saudi, UAE, then Qatar, then Bahrain, then Kuwait, then Oman. So these are the 6 members in the Gulf Cooperation Council. Before this deal, the relationship between Iran and these Gulf Cooperation Council members was also not fine. Therefore, the China is planning to organize the Cross-Gulf Cooperation Conference. So these are the things we should know here. And why did Saudi reach out to Iran? Here, West Asia have been undergoing a strategic realignment in these years, especially in the year of 2020, where US brokered the Abraham Accords. Okay, So US had brokered Abraham Accords. It led to the normalization of relationship between Israel and UAE. US was also brokered a deal between Saudi and Israel. Okay, but it didn't fructify yet. Here we need to know why US have been doing all these things. Because for today, especially to the US, Middle East is not important. Because itself have been more engaging in the landscape of Europe where Russian-Ukraine war have been going on. Okay, so it is more important for US. Therefore, US following a deprioritization of West Asia and Middle East. So Middle East is not important for US. Okay. Earlier, US was dependent on the Gulf countries for its oil resources. But today, US is one of the largest oil and gas producer, especially after its shale explorations. So meanwhile, the relationship of US-Saudi is not creating a win-win situation to both of them. Therefore, Saudi also started looking up for new partners. So here, China comes to the scenario because for Saudi, new markets are needed for its oil because demand from US is simmering. Therefore, it started aligning with China. Also, it want to reduce the menace of Houthis shelling on Saudi's capital Riyadh. These ambitions led to their restorage of their relationship with Iran. So here we have seen already US brokered the deal between the Saudi and Israel to normalize their relations. But we need to ask why. Because here the US supported Saudi is here. Okay. US supported Saudi is here and Israel is here. And these countries earlier they were allies of US. But Iran was the opponent of US. So therefore US thought that it should merge Israel and Saudi against the Iran. But what China did was it actually merged the Saudi Arabia with the Iran. Okay. So now the interest of United States was defeated. So these are all the developments that have been happening in these days. So here what led Iran to accept the deal? That we should know. Iran have been undergoing through the toughest phase of economic sanctions and domestic pressure. So it want in some investments from China because China is having staggering 1,400 billion US dollars in its coffers. Therefore, Iran have been looking up for its investments. China is also going to allow Tehran to withdraw 20 billion US dollars, which was a part of frozen funds after the US sanctions. So after they broke up of the JCPOA deal in the year of 2018, I think, so the Trump regime, they had imposed sanctions on Iran. So through these sanctions, China had frozen some 40 billion US dollars of Tehran. So because of this deal, China, it came forward to release the 20 billion US dollar from its coffers. Okay. So these are the things, it acquires huge significance with respect to the deal. And what does China gain from the deal? China is having huge hunger for oil from its industrial machines. So it needs stable supply of oil. With this deal, the supply chain to China will be streamlined. Then also China is trying to project itself as a potential global player. So therefore it have been started to brokering between the nations. And here there are various examples have been given. The Camp David Agreement, Oslo Accords, Israel-Jordan Treaty, then the Middle East Quartet, and Abraham Accords as we have seen before. So these are all the deals. It was brokered by US. So these days, to project its global power, China also started brokering between the nations. But in the Saudi-Iran reconciliation, US is absent, that we should know. This points to the larger changes underway in the global order. Besides, China is also trying to send a clear message to countries in the global south, like itself projecting as a credible leader of developing south. Okay. So this is how the China has been projecting its power to the other nations. Now we should see how does US looks at the deal. Here US interest have been defeated because US was thinking of merging the power of Saudi Arabia and Israel against the Iran. But unfortunately, the Saudi Arabia, it sidelined with Iran with the help of the China. So therefore, the interest of US got defeated. So the deal would affect US interest in this region. This is how they have been concluding. Now let us see the map of the Gulf Peninsula. Here Iran is there and Iran's capital is Tehran, and Iraq, it is Baghdad, and here we should know Jordan, right? So Jordan's capital Amman, and here the Golan Heights will be there. Okay, this is the region Golan Heights will be there. In the year of 2014, UPSC had asked the question about the Golan Heights, and Gulf of Aqaba, it is here. So this is the Gulf of Aqaba, and in Saudi Arabia, these are all the important regions: Jeddah, Medina, and Mecca, and the capital is Riyadh. Apart from that, in Yemen, the capital is Sana'a. So these are all the regions which are under the Houthis occupation. And here in Oman, the Muscat is there. So here the Gulf of Oman is there. And here in the Iran, Zahedan. In our previous discussion, we have seen about Zahedan. And here will be the Chabahar port. And Bandar Abbas, it is also another one important port, which is in the mouth of Strait of Hormuz. And Doha is the capital of Qatar, and Abu Dhabi is the capital of UAE, and Kuwait city is the capital. Okay, so here they will ask you whether Kuwait is bordering with Iran. Iran is not bordering with Kuwait. Iran is bordering only with Iraq, because there won't be any space between. There will be a space between Kuwait and Iran. So Kuwait is not having any. Kuwait is not sharing any border with Iran. And apart from that, here we should know the Gulf of Aden is there, and Arabian Sea. Then Socotra Islands. Here actually it is highly geostrategic. It is having high geostrategic significance. And Red Sea is there. The Tropic of Cancer, it have been passing here. Okay. So these are the things we should know. Then obviously the Strait of Hormuz, I think you might have known. And in Iran, Elbrus mountain is there. Okay. Elbrus mountain is here. Zagros mountain, it have been locating in this way. Okay, so these are all the things you should know. And Iran have been bordering with Caspian Sea. The other countries that are bordering with the Caspian Sea are Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, then Azerbaijan, then Russia. Okay, this is the short note for the countries sharing the border with Caspian Sea: Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, Russia, Iran, Kazakhstan. Okay, so now let us dive into the next article. Here is the article: India remains world's largest importer of arms, SIPRI report. So why in news? India remained the world's largest arms importer for the 5-year period between 2008 to 2022. And in this time, even though its arms imports dropped by 11% between 2013 to 2017 and 2018 to 2022, still actually India is the largest importer. So this is what the Swedish think tank Stockholm International Peace Research Institute have been stating. So SIPRI. Okay. And what are the descriptions they had given? They had stated that Russia was the largest supplier of arms to India from 2013 to 2022. The share was 64%. Okay, 64% was there between 2013 to 2022. Now it slided to 45%. So Russia's share in the weapon basket of India is 45%. Recently, S-400 purchase was done. It had to be delivered. We have seen about S-400 in our analysis multiple times. France, it is the second largest supplier, notably the Dassault's Rafale fighter jets. So this was the recent deal India acquired with France. And for Russia, France, Israel, India is the largest export market. That also you should know. And here, the arms exports from Russia have been declining, right? So also the cumulatively, the arms exports have been decreased by 11% with respect to India. The decrease and all can be attributed to several factors, like including India's slowdown and complex arms procurement process, then India's efforts to diversify its arms suppliers. And these days we are focusing much on the Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliance, indigenous productions. So these are all the factors which had brought down the arms exports by 11%. And the 9 nuclear states, They are also expanding their arsenals. Okay, and in India, with respect to India, we are having 160 warheads. So the 9 nuclear armed states are US, Russia, UK, France, China, India, Pakistan, Israel, and North Korea. So these are all the countries they continue to modernize their nuclear arsenals. So this is what the report have been citing between the 2021 to 2023. The number will probably increase in the next decade. Okay, with respect to India, India had 160 nuclear warheads as of January 2023, and it appears to be expanding its nuclear arsenal. It hadn't provided in the article. Actually, I had taken from some other resources. The nuclear warheads are explosive head of a missile or torpedo that uses nuclear energy, generally nuclear fission. Okay, this is the process almost all the nuclear weapons will be using. In some cases, in certain weapons, nuclear fusion principle will also be used, where hydrogen and helium atom will be used. So India's nuclear stockpile, it increased from 156 in 2021 to 160 in 2023. So apart from that, here we should know what are the hindrances in nuclear diplomacy. All P5 members, they continue to expand or modernize their nuclear arsenals and appear to be increasing the salience of nuclear weapons in their military strategies. So this is the first hindrance. And in these days, we all well known, Russia is fighting against the Ukraine. So Russia has even made open threats about possible nuclear weapon use in the context of war in Ukraine. Okay, so this is the second hindrance. Then the third one, bilateral Russia-USA strategic stability talks have stalled because of the war, and none of the other nuclear armed states are pursuing arms control negotiations. So this is the third hindrance for the nuclear diplomacy. Moreover, the P5 members of the UNSC have voiced opposition against the treaty prohibiting nuclear weapons and the JCPOA negotiations, which includes P5 plus Germany and Iran. Okay, actually these negotiations, it all had been lifted by the Trump-led regime. So these are all the factors which have been acting as a hindrances in nuclear diplomacy. And here they had given about the JCPOA agreement. The UK, USA, UK, Russia, France, China plus Germany. So these all P5 countries plus Germany, they had negotiated a deal with Iran. The deal name is JCPOA to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and technology failing in wrong hands. Because in Iran, they were actually concentrating the uranium in their centrifuges. So that's what the deal, it came into existence. But unilaterally, USA withdrew from the deal and it imposed sanctions on Iran. And here, a brief description about SIPRI had been given. SIPRI is an independent international institute dedicated to research into conflict, armaments, and arms control and disarmament. So it established in the year of 1966, and SIPRI provides data analysis recommendations based on open sources to policymakers, researchers, media, and the interested public. It based in Stockholm. SIPRI is regularly ranked among the most respected think tanks worldwide. So they are having various missions. They used to undertake research and activities. On security, conflict, and peace. They will provide policy analysis. They will facilitate the dialogues, and they are promoting transparency and accountability, and they deliver authoritative information to global audience, like the SIPRI report. So these are all the functions they are doing. And that's it, friends. Now let us dive into the next article. And here 246 vultures is spotted in synchronized survey in Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka. And in certain regions like Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve, then Wayanad Tiger Reserve and Bandipur Tiger Reserve, Nargul Tiger Reserve. Okay, so these are the regions they actually conducted the survey, and they came to know about the quantum of vultures, what these regions are having. White-rumped vultures, it is about 183, and long-billed vultures, it is around 30, red-headed vultures 28, Egyptian vultures 3, then the Himalayan griffon 1, then cinereous vulture 1. So these are all the data they had given. And with respect to this article, we need to know about some basics related to the variants of vultures prevailing in India and certain basics about the national parks which came in this article. And here, as we have seen already, as many as 246 vultures were spotted in the first ever synchronized survey conducted along the borders of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka on February 25th and 26th. So, in the image, actually, all the vultures had been given. So, this is the Egyptian vulture and Himalayan griffon and white-trumped vulture is here. Then this one is slender-billed. Then this is Indian vulture. The quantum of Indian vulture in India is very high. And this is red-headed vulture and this is cinereous vulture. This is bearded vulture and the Eurasian griffon. These are the 9 variants of vulture. They all have been living in India. And about vultures, it is one of the 22 species of large carrion eating birds that live predominantly in the tropics and subtropics. So they act as an important function as a nature's garbage collectors or scavengers. So they are a keystone species. So if we are eliminating the vulture means, then the food chain will be disrupted. India is home to 9 species as we have seen. All the 9 species had been given here. Most of the 9 species, they face dangers of extinction like bearded long-billed, slender-billed, then oriental whiteback. They are all in the Schedule 1 of the WPA Act 1972. Rest of the variants, they are in the Schedule 4. So here, the bearded is here, okay. Then long-billed, slender-billed. This is the slender-billed. White-backed vulture. So this is the white-backed vulture. So these 3 variants, they are in the Schedule 1 of the WPA Act and the rest of the vultures, they are in the Schedule 4. And with respect to oriental whiteback vulture, they are critically endangered. Okay. So orient vulture is critically endangered. Here it is the oriental whiteback. They are critically endangered according to the IUCN status. Then slender-billed, they are also critically endangered. Then long-billed vulture, I think they are, it actually degraded to critically endangered positions from the endangered. Then Egyptian vulture, they are endangered. Then red-headed vulture, they are critically endangered. Here it is they are critically endangered. Then Indian griffon is least concern. Indian griffon, Himalayan griffon, both are same. Least concern they are. Then cinereous vulture is near threatened. They are near threatened. And bearded vulture is near threatened. So they are also near threatened. But they are in the Schedule 1 of the WPA Act. And actually these vultures, they are facing several threats. Okay. The diclofenac poisoning that you might have known very well. And meloxicam is an alternative to diclofenac. Then loss of natural habitats due to anthropogenic activities. Then contaminated food. Then electrocution by power lines. These are all the few threats which have been causing the extinction of vultures. And the conservation efforts, the Vulture Action Plan 2022-2025, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, they launched a Vulture Conservation Plan, and through which they are doing certain conservation measures with respect to vultures in the country. And it will ensure minimum use of diclofenac and prevent the use of poisoning of the principal food of vultures and the cattle carcass. And the second one, to study the cause of death of vultures in India, the vulture care centers was set up in Pinjore, Haryana in the year of 2001. So these are all the, this is the second important conservation effort what India had taken so far. Then in 2004, the vulture care centers, they were upgraded to the vulture conservation and breeding centers in India. At present, there are 9 vulture conservation and breeding centers are operating in India, among which 3 are directly administered by the Bombay Natural Historical Society. Okay. So 3 have been administered directly by the BNHS. Then let us discuss a few basics about the Nagarkul National Park. Okay, it is also known as Rajiv Gandhi National Park. Here it is there, the Nagarkul National Park. So actually, this is the 37th Tiger Reserve. 37th Tiger Reserve, and it is a part of Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. Okay. It is a part of Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. And Nagarkol River, it have been flowing through the park. Okay. So these are the few basics you should know. And the vegetation, it is mostly of moist deciduous. And animals, Asian elephants, then spotted deer, bonnet macaque. These are the few species which have been living in this national park, Nargul National Park. Then Bandipur, actually, it is the 9th tiger reserve. And in 1985, it became a national park. Bandipur National Park in 1985. It is located in the Samrajnagar and Mysore regions of Karnataka. And in Bandipur, along with Bandipur, the Nargal Mudumalai, Wayanad, they form a Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve complex. So it is also a part and parcel of Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. So these are the few basics you should know. Then through the Bandipur Reserve, the Kabni River have been flowing. Okay, Kabni River, it have been flowing in the north. Kabni in the north. Then Moya River in the south. So two rivers it have been flowing and they are marking a boundary of Bandipur Tiger Reserve. So that's it, friends. Let us discuss about other tiger reserves in our upcoming analysis. Now let us dive into the next article. And this is the article, NGT appointed committee. They holds Kochi Corporation responsible for fire incidents. Kindly go through the article. And the state level monitoring committee on solid waste management appointed by the NGT has held the Kochi Corporation responsible for all the fire incidents at the Brahmapuram dump site. So because of the fire in these dump sites, the amount of particulates in the region is very high, and dioxin and furan have been emitting. These both two particles they are a grade 1 carcinogens. Okay, so several fire incidents have been happening at the dump site that we should know. Then I found one term in this article is biomining. Okay, what is meant by biomining means it is the process of using microorganisms to extract the metals of economic interest. So microorganisms, we will be deploying the microorganisms to extract the metals. Okay, so this is known as biomining. And the valuable metals, they are commonly bound up in solid minerals. So NGT has expressed its concern. Here we need to discuss about the pyrolysis and NGT. So nothing else in the article. The pyrolysis, it is the thermal decomposition of materials at elevated temperatures in an inert atmosphere. There won't be any oxygen, that we should know. So here it involves a change in the chemical composition itself. So pyro means fire and lysis means separation. So fire and lysis means separation. So it is a Greek term. It is mostly commonly used in the treatment of organic materials. It is one of the process involved in charring the wood. So the outcome will be syngas, then char wood. So these are all the outcomes we will be getting. Then certain oil also will be there. Okay, that oil we can use it as a conventional oil in our IC engines. So these are all the few outputs we will be getting after the pyrolysis. It is considered as the first step in the process of gasification or combustion. Okay, so that's it, friends. This is up to the pyrolysis. There will be a mechanically designed chamber will be there where the waste will be put, and it will be they will burn the waste in the inert atmosphere. There won't be any oxygen. Then the outcome will be char and the oil. Okay, so these are the things we should know. It actually produces the high quality of carbon. Okay, so the extreme pyrolysis, which leaves mostly carbon as the residue, is called the carbonization, and the process is heavily used in chemical industries. For example, to produce ethylene, many forms of carbon and other chemicals from petroleum, coal, and even wood. These are all the metals that it will be used in pyrolysis to produce a coke. Okay, so syngas is also one of the outcome. Syngas means mostly it will be having methane. So 95% the syngas will be having methane. Okay, the gas often contains some carbon dioxide and all. Okay, it is principally used for producing ammonia or methanol. So syngas is combustible and it can be also used as a fuel because it is almost composed of methane, right? So we can use it as a fuel in our gas engines. Then let us discuss about NGT. NGT is a specialized body set up under the NGT Act 2010. So it is a statutory body. and the establishment is for the effective and expeditious disposal of the cases related to the environmental protection and conservation of forest and other natural resources. So then let us discuss a few basics about the structure. It comprises of the chairperson, judicial members and expert members. So they shall hold office for a term of 3 years or till the age of 65. So 3 or 65 years. Okay. So this is their tenure, whichever is earlier, and they are not eligible for reappointment. And the chairperson is appointed by the central government in consultation with CJI. Central government plus CJI. They will appoint the chairperson. A selection committee shall be formed by the central government to appoint the judicial members and the expert members. So there are be at least 10 and maximum of 20 full-time members will be in the judicial panel and in the expert panel. So the tribunal, as put in slide, it is not bound by the procedure laid down under the Code of Civil Procedure 1908, but it is bound by the principle of natural justice. Okay, so here they have given about the jurisdictions. The NGT is having the jurisdiction over the Water Act 1974, then Water Cess Act 1977, Forest Conservation Act 1980, then Air Act 1981, Environmental Act 1986, then Public Liability Insurance Act 1991 and the Biological Diversity Act 2002. And NGT, they don't have any jurisdiction over Wildlife Protection Act. Okay, so they don't have any jurisdiction over Wildlife Protection Act. And CPCB, you might have known, it came into existence through the Water Act of 1974. So the judicial cases with respect to the Water Act, it will be coming under the NGT, but CPCB, it will be enforcing the provisions of the Water Act. Okay, so that's it, friends. Now let us dive into the question part. Here is the first question for you. Consider the following statements regarding NGT. It is a constitutional body. It is not a constitutional body. Okay, it is a statutory body which formed under the Act of NGT Act 2010. Its rulings are advisory in nature. Its rulings are binding in nature. Okay, so they are not advisory, and it has been working on the principle of natural justice. As I told you, they are working on the principle of natural justice, and they are not bound by the criminal code procedures or civil code procedures. Okay, so the answer option C is the right one for question number 1. And this is the second question. JCPOA agreement we have seen, and TPNW means the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. It came into the existence of 2021. Okay, so they all appeared in news is related to the deals and treaty related to the nuclear weapons, then the treaty imposing sanctions on Iran and North Korea, then UN resolutions to deport the blacklisted criminal, then the protocols involving the NATO and its allies. These two statements are absurd. Okay, they don't have any treaty, but under the JCPOA, the US imposed sanctions on Iran, but JCPOA itself, it doesn't impose any sanctions on Iran. Okay, so that's for we need to eliminate the option B. And deals and treaty related to the nuclear weapons, this is the right one for question number 2. Okay, so the second one, for the second question, A is the right answer. Then the third one, how is NGT different from CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board? So NGT, it formed under the Act of NGT Act 2010, CPCB Water Act 1974. So NGT Act has been established by the Act, where CPCB has been created by executive order. This is wrong statement, because CPCB formed under the Water Act of 1974. NGT provides environmental justice, whereas CPCB provides cleanliness and quality to the environment. This is the right one, because CPCB, through its bureaucratic structure, it will be enforcing the provisions of the Water Act 1974 and other related acts like Air Act and all. Whereas NGT, they are having judicial functions and they are having jurisdictions over almost all the acts, especially the Water Act, Air Act and all. Exception is Wildlife Protection Act. Okay, so the statement B alone is the right one for question number 3. That's it, friends. Apart from this article, I found certain other articles in our today's newspaper, like the article related to universities and all. But in our upcoming discussions, we will be discussing. In our previous discussions also, we had discussed it multiple times. So that's what I hadn't picked this article today. Thank you for your patience. Let me catch you in tomorrow's news analysis. Bye.